Hey, we're bringing a little bit of big and tall into your life today. Welcome to the Big and Tall Show, a podcast created to help you live your life as a servant to the Lord Jesus Christ. Your hosts, Mark, who is big, and Tom, who is tall, will be bringing their usual wit and wisdom today. I guarantee you will walk a little bigger and a little taller after today's episode of the Big and Tall Show.
All right, Tom, we are back with another episode of the Big and Tall Show podcast. We're welcome everyone back in and hope everybody's having a good a day and a week. And we are fired up and ready to talk about some different things going on in our world today, and do a restaurant review that's going to be a little bit unique. We'll have that coming up in just a little while. Tom, how's it going with you?
I'm great, Mark. The Big and Tall Show, with our, I guess, whatever we want to call it, our new format, I hope we are not getting away from the mindset of encouraging all of those listeners that we have to stand big and tall in their faith. That should remain as our main focus. And so I hope as we're doing this that we're not losing sight of that. And I hope that we are encouraging our listeners to stand big and tall in their faith. And so, Mark, I'm going to go ahead and start. We have a couple of segments, like you said, and then before we get into our unique restaurant review today, review,
Right.
I wanted to I wanted to explore a brief passage, or a couple of passages in Scripture, and here's where I'm going with this, Mark. You've heard this phrase. Maybe you've seen it. I know that this concept or this mindset has been through social media, and I know that I've had conversations with people that have said this same type thing, and you probably have as well. But the saying goes that nobody says on their deathbed, "I wish I would have spent more time at work." Have you heard somebody say that?
Yes.
I mean, maybe not on their deathbed, but you probably heard that phrase, right?
Yeah, right.
When you hear phrases that are encouraging moral behavior, encouraging us to make good decisions in our life, you often wonder, is that something that's actually backed by Scripture? And that phrase, and you and I both have, I think we've addressed this before, we both have wonderful lives. I mean, absolutely incredible lives. And
Right.
And I hope I am living in such a way that people are seeing that I'm not sacrificing my soul for the almighty dollar, and that through the different things I've done in my life, whether it's in education, I've always had a woodworking business on the side, and now of course we're doing some very different things in our lives now that Paige and I are both retired from education. But I don't think it will ever be said of me, man, he sure did chase that almighty dollar for all of his days, and look at his private jets and all that stuff. But in Proverbs chapter 23, beginning in verse 4, do not overwork to be rich, because of your own understanding cease. Will you set your eyes on that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings, and they fly away like an eagle toward heaven.
Yeah.
Don't chase the almighty dollar. Don't overwork to be rich. And we've been studying the book of Colossians in our Wednesday class. Jeff Wood's teaching us, and one thing that this same exact mindset here in Colossians chapter 3. If then you are raised with Christ, seek those things at the right hand of God. Set your mind on things above, not on things of the earth or on the earth. For you died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is our life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. We're here on this earth, and a big part of our life is trying to figure out, why are we here, and what should be our goal day to day. And as we look at our peers, as we look at just the world and society in general, I think the majority of people in this world miss this. What are people doing? They are overworking to be rich.
Yeah.
They are seeking things on earth. They're keeping their minds focused on earthly things. And what does Scripture teach us? Just what we read there. Have our minds and focus our daily lives on things that are above. And so what does that mean? For our listeners who are saying, okay, that's great. You read a few verses, but what does it actually mean? What is our mindset? What is our motivation every single day? Is it to, number one, make sure that we're on the path to heaven? And are we sharing that incredible gospel message of Christ and his saving grace with others? Or are we trying to get that dollar as well? And going back to what I was saying earlier, if we're encouraging our listeners to stand big and tall in their faith, well, a big part of standing big and tall in our faith is having our minds in the right place and not focused on earthly things, not focused on that dollar, but focused on heavenly things and being kind. And in fact, if you read there, continuing in Colossians chapter 3, the character of who we are to be as Christians, be tender mercy, kindness, humility, meekness, long-suffering, bearing with one another, forgiving one another. All of these things that we're to be doing are just completely contrary to striving to overwork to be rich. And I don't know, that's a big reminder for me every day is keeping my mind focused on heavenly things.
Well, and I think, Tom, that, what's the world's definition of rich, and what's the Christian's definition of what is rich? I looked up just a simple definition of the word rich, and here's what it says: having a great deal of money or assets. And then the second definition is plentiful or abundant. The world says that you're rich if you have a lot of money, a big retirement, huge spread as far as your house and your property and your cars. That's what the world looks at and says, man, they're rich. But the Christian, the mindset, as you read, that we should have is not about money, but having an abundance of the things of God, have an abundance of joy, an abundance of peace, an abundance of righteousness and holiness in our lives. And Jesus said in Matthew 6 and verse 24, you cannot serve God and money. And we live in a very materialistic world. And so it is hard for us not to shift our focus, on, as you said, the mighty dollar. But we have to make sure that we're being rich toward heavenly things, and not be mindful of those earthly riches, because they're going to fade away. Of course, as Jesus also said, that's why we build our treasure in heaven and not on earth. So I think it's a great thought as you remind us. That's what, as you said, that's what the podcast is all about: is standing big and tall in our faith. One obstacle to that, I believe, in our society is the idea of riches and money. And so I think it's a good reminder as we start the show today.
Mark, what have you got here? You've got a segment ready for us before we get to our restaurant reviews.
I do. I love, I don't know, I'm calling this Words of Wisdom segment. And it's three quotes basically, and they all have to do with the same thing. But it's pretty cool. I love this quote, and I've known one for a while, but these two, the first ones I'm going to say just came across recently. But this first one says this: God will steer the boat, but He wants you to row it. I've never really thought about that. God will steer the boat, but He wants you to row it. We've got to be working. God's working in our lives. He's directing our lives. He's in control of our lives. But we have to be doing something. We can't just sit in the boat and do nothing and think that all things are going to work out for our good. God's working, but He also expects us to work. Another quote along those lines is this, and I love this one: don't pray for a hole while leaning on a shovel. I like that because, and I've seen pictures, with that quote on there. Don't lean or don't pray for a hole while leaning on a shovel. God has given us the tools that we need. He's given us everything. The Bible says that pertains to life and godliness. He's given us everything to live an abundant life, but he also wants us to work. Once again, we've got to row the boat. We've got to dig the hole. And then the last quote has been around for a long time, but I love it. And it says this: pray as if everything depended on God. Work as if everything depended on you. So this is exactly,
that's one of my favorites.
I love it.
I love that one. Yes.
And this is exactly what James said: faith plus works. Faith plus works. I'm praying, having faith in God, understanding he's in control, knowing that everything depends on him, but also I'm not going to sit back and do nothing. I'm going to work. As those other quotes said, I'm going to row the boat. I'm going to dig the hole. I'm going to pray like everything depends on God, because it does, but I'm also going to work like everything depended on me. So anyway, words of wisdom today, Tom, for our episode. I hope this helps somebody in their faith to know that, sometimes we get what we feel like we're in a rut in life, and we just do the same thing over and over, and are we doing what we should be doing? And I just want to encourage everybody, if you're going to work every day, if you're living for the Lord every day, if you're raising your family, whatever it may be, but you're doing it with a mindset of trying to please God, then keep on keeping on. God is in control. You keep rowing, you keep digging, you keep praying, and everything is going to work out in the end. So that's my segment for today, Tom.
I love it, Mark. And we need those constant reminders. Our young people need those constant reminders, because in today's world where everyone wants instant gratification, we want everything right now. The encouragement to just continue working. Right. I think you have seen some of these signs as well. This is big time in sports right now. Just in people reminding everyone else, hey, you got to be a hard worker if you want to be successful. I mean, look at the Heisman Trophy winner who this year, who of course was a 2-star. Nobody recruited him. He finally got to Cal. He eventually transfers to Indiana, of course, and there we have it. But this mindset of, hey, nobody cares, just work harder. That's kind of going around in athletics right now. Is, hey, nobody cares about your excuses. Yeah. Nobody cares about your past. Hey, just work harder, and let's get some things done. So
that's right.
Hey, Mark, as we transition into our restaurant review today, I do want to say, our restaurant reviews, maybe we should be receiving royalties or almost a referral, because I honestly have had 2 separate people say, hey, going to Mullins this week. I mean, not Mullins. You got me. I've already released it. No, going to Mildred's. I've already had 2 people say, hey, going to Mildred's this week. You kind of, hey, you reminded me of, hey, somewhere I need to go. But today's restaurant reviews are a little.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was that just made me think. Maybe we should go to the restaurant that we're wanting to review. Tell them what we're doing. And maybe they'll give us a free meal. They treat us right. I think you've hit on something here. We're going to look into that. Yeah.
Well, today's episode is a little counterproductive if we're in that mindset, because today we're going to do something. This is almost a memorial service for restaurants. What we're going to do today is, I have a couple of restaurants. You have a couple of restaurants that are near and dear to our hearts, and we loved so much, and they're now closed.
Yeah.
And so this is almost hey, looking back with memories of some great places. So I'll start off, Mark.
Okay.
I've got some buddies. We watch the NCAA tournament, March Madness together every year. We have for many, many, many years. And part of our tradition used to be getting some po' boys from the po' boy factory down in East Huntsville area. And the po' boy factory's been closed for a little while now. I don't know if COVID shut it down or if it was before that. But Mark, these folks were from Louisiana. I'm talking true realistic, authentic Cajun cuisine. They had the best jerk chicken po' boy, the best fried shrimp po' boy, the best fried oyster po' boys, and maybe the best thing on their menu, they had a fried scallop basket that was just, their scallops were fried perfectly. They also had crawfish boils. They had shrimp. Mark, this place, it was incredible. And they had a sauce, which I'm not going to say on the air because part of the name of their sauce is actually a curse word.
Okay.
But they had some hot sauce that you could put on your fries, and that just, it was the icing on the cake. And it's so sad that it's gone. I hope it was not closed due to, the loss of maybe one of the owners. I don't know, and that's why I'm just speculating. But maybe they just got tired of it. But that was one of our favorite places. What about you, Mark? Give us one of your places.
Yeah. One of mine, and I don't. This has been a long time tradition in the Huntsville area, in the Five Points area. I think we're going to stay in the Five Points area for some reason, Tom, with our reviews today. But Eunice's, I think it was called Diner, maybe Eunice's Diner.
All I remember was Eunice's. Yeah, I don't even know the name of it.
I don't either. Eunice's. But as you reminded me a little earlier, she would sit on that, tall seat or whatever, but I have some special memories. I was the youth minister at the Winchester congregation back in from 2002 to 2007, so about 5 years. And I was a young man, of course, and Rachel and I, we loved, of course, I was the associate minister, and so I was in charge of the youth as well. And we loved all the young people, but we also, at the Winchester congregation, fell in love with all the older people. We would go on their retreats. We would go out to eat with them more than we would even the younger people. And I mean, some in their 70s and 80s that have passed on now, but we would go to different restaurants, and they loved to go to Eunice's and eat their breakfast. They had true red-eye gravy, and it was two couples that I'm thinking of, and they were at the time, I guess, in their early 80s, I would imagine. I'm not sure exactly, but 70s to 80s. But back then especially, I'm trying to do better now on my eating. But, Tom, back then, I would eat. I loved to eat. And I loved to eat breakfast. And there was one, this one guy, WB was his name. And I believe that he, more than anything else about being around me, he loved to watch me eat. And he just took pleasure in, and how much I would enjoy it. And I remember we were at Eunice's, and I was getting about to my limit, Every time the waitress would walk by, he'd say, "Bring that boy another biscuit." And I thought, man, I can't eat much more. But a special memory of Eunice's restaurant, and it was, you don't find many like that anymore.
Yeah, you're right. It's just a great. And Mark, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere down near the Roundhouse in Huntsville, they have like a replica of that little building, kind of in honor of her and that old Huntsville institution of Eunice's.
Oh, okay.
And I'm almost positive that I'll look into that. But hey, we got one more that we're going to talk about as our time's getting short here. As you said, staying in the 5 Points area, and I already leaked it.
Yeah, you did.
The Mullins, I think, was it called Mullins Drive-In or Drive? It was, but it was just an old country cooking, and Mr. Mullins. So I've got a little different insight into this place. I believe his name was Larry Mullins. He was the owner there, and anytime you went in, there was more chances than not, he was sitting at one of those tables as you walked in. You may not have known who he was, but he was usually there. But his grandson was a basketball player for us there at Huntsville High when I was coaching there. and his name is John Michael. And so because John Michael was his grandson, during the years that John Michael was playing for us, we got quite a few pregame meals at Mullins, and so we'd take our team there.
You packed on the pounds during that time, right?
Oh, it was that. I think that was the beginning of the end right there. It was but yeah, just good country cooking. But really a neat place. It's kind of one of those places. I know there are other places in Huntsville like this, or in any town, where you go in there and you've got some of the political higher ups that are eating there. You got doctors, you got lawyers, and then you just got some of us normal common folk that are just wanting to go have a good meal and sit down and talk. And so I love that place.
And this also, of course, I ate there many times, but also with the same couples that I'm talking about, and the older man, I guess because we called it Eunice's, I don't know, but he would call this Mullins's. Let's go to Mullins's to eat. And but anyway, and also I do remember they were going to charge us for extra biscuits, and he sure didn't like that, But I thought it was funny. But yeah, it was a great place to eat. Some of those places, Tom, I thought growing up in Huntsville, attending the East Huntsville Church of Christ, which was right there. We saw those restaurants every time we went to church. I thought those would never go away. But things change. And I guess that's, as we sort of wrap it up today for a spiritual application on these restaurants that are no more, just a memory of them. And I don't want to get everybody too down and out, but you know what? Things change in life, and just like a restaurant, we're not going to be here forever. We're going to be a memory, and hopefully somebody will talk, in a nice way about us as when we're gone. Have good memories of what we said and how we lived and the things maybe that we accomplished. But, when you think about memories and things that had been and they're not anymore, it just puts that into perspective that's going to be all of us at some point in time.
Yeah. Mortality is real. And I think going back to our points earlier today, put our trust in God, continue to be workers, and make sure that we're focused in doing the right things and have our minds set on heavenly things, not earthly things. So
that's right.
Mark, hey, great episode. I know we're short on time here, and I do want to remind everyone our purpose here is to encourage you to stand big and tall in your faith. And if you have any struggles or anything that you'd love to reach out to us about, or if you have any questions about the status of your soul in ways that you can improve or ways that you can make sure that you are part of the Lord's church and ready for that day of judgment, we'd love to talk to you. So, Mark, great episode. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too. Everybody have a safe week.
If you have enjoyed today's episode of The Big and Tall Show, please tell your friends and make it easy by sharing the link to our show with them. If you haven't subscribed, this is the time to do just that. And on behalf of Tom and Mark, thank you for listening.